Hello, Max Wright here, and I'm noticing a really interesting development from people who identify as being liberals in the world today. And there's a bit of a shift, and even I would say a division amongst liberals. There's starting to be some infighting. They're calling themselves cultural Marxists and cultural libertarians and regressives. Other progressives are calling other progressives regressives and things like that. And it's an interesting turn of events, and I think it's worth exploring because I think what we're going to see is this shift, and we're going to start seeing some new political alliances over the next few years. Specifically, I think you're going to find many more libertarians and liberals joining together on some issues, and I think it's going to be really interesting. Now, to make sense of this, a very popular video I have on my channel is about the political compass, and it basically argues that the simple left-right paradigm is outdated and not particularly useful in describing the state of your political beliefs, and it introduces the political compass. By the way, if you check out that video, there's actually a test you can do, and it will tell you where you lie, and it's kind of fun. So check it out. There'll be a link in the description if you want to do that. But here is the political compass, and rather than just a simple line of left and right. That line doesn't make sense. The traditional left-right line, you have on the far left you have totalitarian communism, on the far right you have totalitarian fascism, and so what's in the middle of those two totalitarians, like moderate totalitarianism? It doesn't make any sense. And so the political compass is designed to be a little bit more rational and a little bit more helpful in figuring out the different kinds of philosophies out there. So as you're used to, the horizontal axis is called the economic axis. And so on the far left you have communism, on the far right you have free market. But there's a second axis, what's called the social axis. And once again, in the same as the horizontal axis, it goes from 0% to 100%. And so 0% on the social axis all the way up to 100% in the authoritarian government axis. So let's just go through a few, let's say, policies or something, and we'll see where people lie. See, up here in the top right-hand corner, this is what people would be traditionally, stereotypically Republican in the States. So these guys believe in, minimum government with regards to the economy. They want low tax rates. They think the government's terrible at running the economy, terrible at telling you how much you should save, how much you should invest, how much you should do whatever. They should just let people do what they want. However, generally these people think, yeah, but people are too silly to decide who they should sleep with, who they should marry, what they should smoke. And so they feel that the government's responsibility is to teach you how to do all of these things in the social realm. Whereas the opposite is, people who typically identify as liberals, well, they say, no, people are fantastic. Let people do what they want. They can decide who they can sleep with, what they can smoke. Hands off the socialist issues. The government should have very little to do with those things. But people are pretty stupid when it comes to saving, investing, managing their own money, how much they should give to charity. We do believe we need a strong government to take money from people and give it to others because the government's great at doing the economy, terrible at managing your social issues. Republicans believe the opposite. And government's terrible at managing the economy, fantastic at telling you how to live your life. And so these two are diagonally opposite in the spectrum. Up here you've got straight up authoritarian communists. They want to tell you how to live your life and enforce that at the point of a gun through government for everything. And then down here you have libertarians, and they say the government is terrible at running your life and it's terrible at managing money. So let's just hands off for that. Let's just have a very small government and we'll let the free market of ideas take hold there. So that's kind of the political spectrum. Now, what's happening here is there's being a big shift. I think, in terms of population, this blue section is bigger. I think there's definitely more liberals in the world than there are, say, Republicans, and certainly many more than libertarians, unfortunately. But this blue section is quite large. And although libertarians were actually sided with the liberals with regards to gay issues and gay rights and things like that, they were rejected. Their help wasn't really wanted. It's like, no, we've got a big enough voting bloc over here, and I disagree with you're not advocating the welfare state. I disagree with you not being socialists. We're not going to use your help. We're just going to win this fight over here with the liberals. And they did win the fight, and I'm glad they won the fight. The idea of same-sex marriages and equal rights for gays, all that kind of stuff, I totally agree with it, and I'm glad they won it. But there's something very interesting happening over here now. Now a lot of those issues are dealt with and taken care of. There's a real splitting in this area of the liberals. And as I mentioned earlier, they're starting to refer to the different sides as cultural Marxists and cultural libertarians. And the fighting is changing. And I think we're going to see some new relationships between libertarians and liberals. Now, to give you a little bit of context there, so there's a great interview here, but actually it's a gay liberal and a gay conservative. And here are just a few highlights to really kind of get the idea across.
As many of you know, over the last few months, I've been really disappointed by people supposedly on my team, the left, on issues of political correctness and free speech. Toss in the social justice warriors and our lapdog media, and debate, and I mean true debate, gets totally tossed out the window. To me, there is literally nothing more important in a democracy than free speech and debate. We should debate everything. We should talk about everything. We should engage in ideas that we aren't comfortable with, and we should let the best ideas win. That's how a healthy society based on rational ideas and a secular government should work. But too often these days, it simply isn't what's happening. And while the far right in this country went off the deep end a while ago, what I've really been affected by is seeing my side, the people on the left, cherry-picking facts, stifling debate, and labeling everyone they disagree with a racist, a bigot, a homophobe, or worse. What is a conservative to you in 2015? Because I think people don't even know what sort of basic terms anymore, much less the gay part. But let's just, what is a conservative?
I think the reason people are surprised about a gay conservative is because we have a slightly outdated notion of what conservatism is now. I mean, the religious right in America doesn't have the same purchase on the public imagination anymore that it once did, so it's a sort of part of the right, but not whole of it. And the right in Europe is drifting quite quickly to the left. So conservatism as a movement, as a political philosophy, is a bit lost at the moment. One thing we can say for sure is that people on both sides of the political spectrum are moving toward a sort of centre-right libertarianism. And for me, the big gap between people, the big sort of defining political schism, particularly on the internet, but I think of everybody really, is not left and right anymore. It's becoming between authoritarians and libertarians. The issue for the left being that there isn't much space for libertarians there. A lot of conservatives who, don't know, aren't necessarily religious or find their own party drifting to the left are beginning to call themselves beginning to call themselves libertarians or conservatarians. So I think it's a more interesting distinction to speak in terms of personal liberty and freedom now. And when you understand it like that, it makes much more sense why a gay person would be one.
Right. So the reason I think it's sort of a confusing term, or that all our terms have become confusing, I think, is because a lot of times now, as you sort of alluded to, in America, we think of conservatives somehow as an attachment to the religious right, which is weakening a little bit, which I think is good.
History, what gay people ought to be doing in public life, which is precisely that, being a canary in the coal mine and saying, for example, that the sort of nannying, hectoring, language policing that's happening in progressive media today is a problem. And it's a problem because, the first signs are the policing of gay sexuality. There's a piece in the Daily Beast, I think, that said that men who express a racial preference on their Grindr profile are racist. Now, it's obviously an absurd thing to say. It's completely stupid. And it was some idiot middle-class white woman who decided that she was going to police gay sexuality today. Just as we were getting to a position of tolerance, suddenly that someone coming over the horizon to police gay sexuality. It's happening for two reasons. One, gay men have high status in society. They've become very mollycoddled, very celebrated in the media. So they've sort of acquired a kind of privilege. And when the left is constantly engaged in the business of ranking people according to their oppression rating. And gay men don't score very well in those games because we look good and we have money, and we've basically become another kind of white man for a lot of these guys.
Right. So you would say that basically the progressives, or as I'm now calling them, the regressives, basically are done with the gays.
Yes.
I sense this as coming from the progressive world. I sense they were like, we're all for it now.
They're done with you now. They're done with you now. They've got your gay marriage, and now you are going to find increasingly that they come after you, and they're going to come after you because you're being too racially insensitive. They're going to come after you because you use the wrong pronouns. They're going to come after you absurdly and brilliantly for misogyny. You're no longer of any use to your own side, right? They have used you. They have put a wedding ring on your finger. They have domesticated you like they would a dog, like you did your dog. They have put you in. They have made sure you got the right politics, that you say the right things in public. They have domesticated and delineated the sort of useful liberal gay idiots and put them all in little ghettos in cities like the Castro and West Hollywood. And now you are the product and the chattel of the liberal left. It was much more difficult to admit you're a gay conservative than to admit you're gay. You admit you're gay, you get slaps on the back, you get applause, you get, oh, how isn't he brave? All of the social signalling about being homosexual is positive, with one exception. And that's if you're a conservative, other gays, the gay establishment, and Bret Easton Ellis wrote an amazing essay about this in Out magazine. It's called something like In the Reign of the Kingdom of the Magical Gay Elves. Everybody should read it. It explains how the gay establishment, which is basically now done with gays, and it's sort of a self-perpetuating set of institutions to push leftist socialist principles. It's got nothing to do with gay rights anymore. I think you should be able to take it as well as give it. And I never play the victim, but I've never had so much really poisonous, vitriolic nastiness as from other gays who think that my politics are wrong.
So that's kind of the way things are playing out. Liberals have become so successful and so dominant, and they're such a large voting bloc. They've got their way, and the things they've got their way on, it's fantastic. Gay rights, all that kind of stuff, fantastic. But now they're not really cooperating anymore, because now they're getting down into the, okay, what are the next generation of issues? And now they're starting to turn against each other. And you're seeing these social justice warriors, feminists, and this idea of cultural Marxists. They want to tell you what you can say and what you can think, and they want to police your very thoughts. And a lot of liberals are just saying, no, that's crazy shit. I don't want to be anywhere near that. I love the individuality and freedom of expression and everything else. So this is going to be a really interesting thing to watch play out over the next few years. If you're a libertarian, good news is you've got, I think, a large group of people who are going to agree with you on many, many issues. There's been a lot of friction there in the past. I think that friction is going to melt away as we start finding that we've got a lot of things in common. Hopefully in that time we can start communicating more on the economic stuff and really bring people around to the concepts of really government sucks at doing both of these things and they should do none of them. That's my thoughts. I hope you enjoyed this video. Take care.